Alright, welcome back. It's time to take a look at the Angel faction frigate, the Dramiel. The Dramiel has perhaps one of the best designs in all of EVE. There is just something very attractive about this ship, and there are some other ships that I also like. For example, the Astro looks very good, Geimer looks very good, but the Dramiel, I don't know, there is just something very pretty about this ship, and this is the Lucifer nanocore. I know, kinda ironic that a Angel ship has a Lucifer named nanocore, but you know, that's how things go usually. And by far, the best looking nanocore that I have seen. Alright, now let's take a look at the ship info, at the trait description. Roll bonus plus 50% warp speed, plus 50% warp acceleration, plus 5-second damage control activation time, classic for Angel ships. Advanced small cannon operation bonus will give you plus 14% small cannon damage, minus 5% small cannon activation time, and the advanced frigate command bonus will give you plus 7.5% small cannon tracking speed, and it will give you plus 10% small cannon accuracy fall-off. Overall, classic for Angel ships, pretty good stats. Now, the Dramiel has 3 high slots, 3 medium slots, 3 low slots, 3 combat and 3 engineering rigs. Again, classic for frigates. Defense 4738, the Dramiel can be a shield or armor tank, although the preferred tanking method of this ship is speed tank. The capacitor 639 gigajoules, capacitor recharge time 242 seconds, capacitor recharge rate 6.6 gigajoule per second. Max block targets 5, 20.6 meter is the signature radius, 188 is the scan resolution, sensor strength 13, flight velocity 500 meter per second, warp speed 5 astronomical units per second. The Dramiel is one of the fastest ships in the game, and if we combine that with the warp bonus, it's definitely the fastest frigate in the game. Alright, well, now on the fun part, let's take a look at the build that I have on this little boat. 661 DPS with the X types. Alright, well, I have to change that. I'm not going to be eating around X types for sure. Alright, now that's better. 570.85 DPS with the C-type small autocannons. They have a optimal range of 1.56 kilometers, accuracy fall of 10.06 kilometers, and tracking speed 704, which is honestly really good. Activation time 2.34 seconds. I have dual webs and a scrambler. In the medium slots, in the low slots, 1 mic warp drive, damage control, and a medium extender. This is a PvP/PvE speed tank build, although for a speed tank I'll definitely be using a afterburner. So this is more of a PvP build that has a lot of hit points. There's a lot of hit points on the shields, and the damage control is also a very nice addition to that. Dual burst aerators and 1 collision accelerator in the combat rigs, dual log solid thrusters, and 1 power grid rig in the engineering rig section. Overall, you can go triple log solid thrusters for maximum speed. That's also a very nice thing. Now, the nanocore is the Lucifer core. I have seen couple Dramiels using this core, and that's why I decided to go with this core on this boat. It's not upgraded, only the main attribute plus 18% cannon damage. I mostly keep the cores for the aesthetics. It makes the ship look awesome and unique, but all the stats for all of the nanocores for the frigates are about the same. The Concord Pass nanocore, the Ascension nanocore, has the same damage bonus and the same speed bonus, so whichever core you pick, the effects are going to be about the same. Again, I mostly use the nanocore for the aesthetic purpose. The stats, only the primary stat is enough for me. Well then, let's go to the implant section, and for the implants we have 2 options, the barrage implant or the sniper implant. Now, the sniper implant is excellent, and you know it's really good for PvP, but my favorite cannon implant is the barrage implant. I use this implant on the Macariel, I use this implant on the Cinnabel, and I will probably use this implant for the Dramiel. Now let me quickly remove the unnecessary units, because I'll be only using 2 units. 2 general units are more than enough. Level 15 is also more than enough. You don't have to go to level 45 or 30. That's a bit too much, and in some cases overkill. Now I will slap one extender unit, and I will slap one micro warp drive unit to make the ship faster and to make the ship tankier. That's one of the ways how you can fit a Dramiel. Of course, there is million other builds that you can come up with, and I'll show you a couple of them today. Now the DPS with the barrage plan should be really nice. Okay, it's the same. Now the shield hit points went up, and well, it says stable. That's nothing but stable. But okay, I'm not going to be too harsh on the fitting window. Sometimes the fitting window is a little bit drunk, and when the fitting window is drunk, it does give you some very hilarious results. But let's undock and let's see the active stats of this cute little boat. Well, thankfully, there is not a lot of module slots to push around, so it's going to be very quick to assemble the module out just the way I like it. Finally, I don't waste 18 minutes to assemble the modules. Okay, my co-op drive on, and I have to again mention this is such a good looking nanocore. I love it. Definitely one of the best looking nanocores that I have seen in a very long time. I think it's very similar on the Cinnaball as well, although it's quite rare, so yeah. Okay, the DPS is the same, hit points are also looking good. 6.8 kilometers per second. This is a very quick little boat. The capacitor stable, a suspicious stable. And let's turn on the barrage. Let's take a look at the DPS. 2283.39 DPS. It turns your Dramiel into a machine gun Dramiel. The rate of fire 0.53 seconds. So you basically fire 4 shots for 1 server tick, and that's a lot of, although it's a very short burst, and it does feel like it has a limited purpose, but in PvP at close range to quickly strike down a target, yeah, it's going to be working really well. Okay, let's dock and let me show you a couple more builds. Now we can use the Dramiel with the artillery cannons. They have a very nice range. You can orbit outside of the web range. A lot of my friends use a build like this into PvP, and they are doing really well so far. Dual webs, 1 long range disruptor, micro drive, damage control, and 1 extender. Now for this build to work, I had to change the rigs a little bit. Basically dual power grid routers, and I wasn't able to fit the C-type cannons, so in order to maintain the same extender, I had to sacrifice the C-types for domination, and I had to sacrifice 1 rig into the power grid rig. And with that setup, it barely did fit, but it's a very interesting idea. It gives you tank, and it does give you the safety of orbiting outside of the webs. Speed is keeping this ship alive and staying out of webs while having good tank and while having weapons that can reach the target is a very nice idea to have. The tank is about the same, the capacitor the same. However, I lost about 800 meters per second speed because I sacrificed the C-type into a domination microbridge, but 60 kilometers per second is still very fast. And with the barrage implant, you do get some very nice DPS, 1449.02 DPS with the barrage implant using the artillery cannons, and they have a very nice rate of fire of 1.24 seconds, which does look like this when you activate them. The turret animations and effects are pretty good. They did a fantastic job with the graphics on this game, and I feel like they even updated the graphics on some of the modules, as you will see in one of the next videos that I will make for the Apocalypse Striker. They made beam lasers look absolutely amazing, and the cannons also have a fantastic animation. Alright, let's dock and let me show you a different build. Now we can go full DPS, although if you go full DPS you lose the extender, and now you will have a lot less shield hit points and overall a lot less survivability. So in this case, speed is life, and if you get webbed, if the target can hit you, you are in a lot of trouble. So with a build like this, you have to make sure that you are not webbed or scrambled. As you can see, a lot less hit points, 2237 shield from 6000 shield, and 8408 hit points, but the speed is now back into action, and you get some extra DPS with the gyro stabilizer. 1887.50 DPS, and of course the rate of fire will be increased 1.02 seconds. Basically it fires once every second, and that is really nice. However, it does go quickly through the barraging plant, so if you're using the barraging plant on the Dramiel, make sure that every shot counts, because the implant will go low very quickly with the small
docking
turrets.
request accept.
And this same build can work with the autocannons. With the autocannons you will get a lot more DPS, but the range of the autocannons is a lot shorter as well. And you also can go change the units into gyro stabilizer units. They will improve the DPS even more. It's a very nice little thing that I use on the Cinnabal and on the Macariel, and the same idea also works on the Dramiel. Basically works on all the projectile turret ships that can make the barraging plant work. Okay, everything should be in place. 359.20 DPS, and let's undock and let's see what's the maximum DPS going to be like. I expect about 3000, although that's a very short burst of 3000 DPS, and in reality, well, on paper it looks awesome. In practically it's going to be a lot different, and that's the catch with the barraging plant. On paper it looks terrifying, but it's very easy to counter, and honestly in real use that DPS is not really noticeable that much. Now the speed will be drastically lower, of course, because I changed the unit, but still 5.5 kilometers per second is very quick. 2356.93 DPS, again really nice for this boat. 90 minutes is the capacitor, and everything else looks about the same. Okay, and now it's 3241 DPS. Well, I was close. That's with the gyro stabilizer active. Overall, really solid numbers. And of course, you can do the afterburner build. With the afterburner, you can afford to go into scrambler range, and with the afterburner build, you can easily brawl with battleships. The Dramiel is one of the frigates that can kill a Balagorn 1v1 if the Balagorn doesn't have any stabs. Basically, orbit at 0, and the Balagorn will not be able to make you stop. The one thing that you have to use is one small Nosferatu, just in case, to make the webs and points run, but you can easily kill a Balagorn 1v1 if you get really close to the battleship.
Undocking.
And that's why these little ships are so fun to use. They are really good in the right hands. Alright, let's orbit the station, and I will show the speed with the afterburner, and I will show the stats. 570 DPS, 13,000 hit points. I have changed the units a little bit, and now I have a better extender, and the capacitor is stable. 3043.26 meters per second is the velocity, which again is really nice. Afterburner speed, and allows you to speed tank a lot of ships. 2283.39 is the DPS with the barraging plant. Again, really solid and really nice. And just like that, the barrage implant is empty. It takes a couple moments for the barrage implant to be depleted with this boat. Of course, the barrage implant will probably be nerfed in the future, and you can expect that 40,000 hit points with the damage still active. Again, this is really good tank for a frigate. A panic button with the extender works wonders, and this is one of the ways how you can fly this boat. 18 seconds of basically cruiser or battlecruiser level of hit points is very nice. And just look at those turret animations. That's very pretty. Oh well, let's dock, and I think I'll show you one more build. Now this is a PvE build for high sec. I would use a active tank for low sec, active shield tank for low sec, but there is a lot of very angry Stratio ships around, and it might be a little bit dangerous, but for high sec a build like this should work really well. A small Nosferatu to maintain the capacitor, and a medium booster to keep the capacitor up. And let's take a ride with the Dramiel. Let's see how this little boat performs. Now, most of the other ships that I used can orbit at 0 very easily. However, the Dramiel can do the same thing, but sometimes you are too fast for the tracking, and you have to either reduce the orbiting speed, increase the orbiting range, or you have to do the manual flying. Now, Dramiel rewards the players who know how to manual fly their ship. It's one of the ships that should be flown manually, because that way you can ensure maximum survivability and you can ensure that the turrets hit target. And I know a lot of my friends who I play with are basically masters in manual flying, and I do see them doing some crazy stuff with their Dramiel. Now I'm a little bit rusty with frigates, let's be honest here, I'm a little bit rusty, and I have to basically do a lot more practice in order to master manual flying with frigates. Now I'm pretty solid with cruisers. I can manually fly those. I can manually fly most ships, but some of the smaller, faster boats can be a little bit more difficult to fly. But again, that's more of a player issue. I have to practice a bit more with the Dramiel in order to fly this little thing manually. So that's one thing that I will do. But against big ships, against large targets, you can easily orbit at 0 full speed, and it will do some really good damage. Now, some of the other frigates that was flying seem to be clearing missions a bit faster, and it's mostly because the barrage implant is not really a implant that's for PvE. The barrage implant is more for PvP, and currently cannons don't really have a good implant that is suitable for PvE. So I believe in one of the next updates in the future, in this year, we will probably get some implants that are for cannons, implants that will be usable for PvE. However, that doesn't mean that the barrage implant is completely useless. The barrage implant can serve to strike down a ship fairly quickly. It can serve as a good defense. It can also serve to quickly kill the ship that holds a scrambler or web on you. So it still has its purpose, but doesn't really feel as natural as some of the other implants that we have for other weapon systems. It's quite similar to the drone bombs, although nowadays the drone bombs are actually much better than the barrage implant. The drone bombs on the Stratios are absolutely insane, and some of the other ships as well, but on the Stratios especially because you kill the target before the target even realizes that they're killed. That's how good the drone bombs are, and I expect the drone bombs to be nerfed. I expect all implants to be nerfed, to be honest, because all of them are currently working a little bit too well, and I see that the developers are slowly but surely they're definitely nerfing them one by one. Well, this is the second wave, and so far it's going as planned. Now there are some things that you should never do when in PvP or even in missions. Never approach targets at a 90-degree angle. Do a spiral approach, which does require manual flying, by the way. A spiral approach or approach at an angle, because lasers, snipers and overall long-range turrets that have good tracking, or ships that use tracking computers, will be able to track you, and you definitely do not want to get hit, because the Dramiel doesn't really have a lot of hit points. The speed is keeping this ship afloat, and a slow Dramiel is a dead Dramiel. So whatever you do, don't be slow, always move. Never go at a 90-degree head-on angle against your target. Always do a spiral approach or approach at an angle, so that the transversal velocity is always high and the enemy turrets will have a hard time hitting you, because remember, one solid hit from most boats can be lethal, unless of course you have a damage control or the medium extender. In that case you can afford some hits, but again, I would still rely on the speed to keep this ship alive, not at the extender or not at the damage control. The extender and damage control are panic button modules. The main tanking method is the speed. Now there are some ships that are good for practice. The Dramiel is not as expensive, but it's still a faction frigate, and as a faction frigate the loss can still hurt. So I would recommend that you practice with the Slasher. That's also one boat that relies on speed tanking before you jump in a Dramiel. The Slasher 1 Interceptor, for example, that's a good practice boat for the Dramiel. And here you can see me taking some nasty hits, because I did what I said that you shouldn't do. Don't move at a 90-degree angle, or don't do head-on approaches, or you will take some damage. And well, my shield got almost yeeted. That was actually really scary. Could have been dead right there. If only I kept moving in that way for a couple more moments, this Dramiel would have been dead. But it does clear the mission so far just fine, although the orbit is not the same as the orbit of the other frigates that I did. The Cruor can easily orbit at 7 kilometers and it does hit just fine. The Garmor can orbit at 0 because of the missiles. The Worm can also do the same, although I haven't done the Worm yet. The Succubus can also orbit at about 7 or 8 kilometers full speed just fine without having issues with tracking. The Daredevil can also do the same. I think the Snub-Nosed, or Snub-Nosed, I don't know how to... Let's just call them blasters. The blasters on the Daredevil have the highest tracking, I believe. So orbit at 0 with that ship, full speed is probably going to be very easy. And I will find the Daredevil very soon. I did plan to fly all the faction cruisers, and that's what I'm doing. The next one on the line was the Dramiel, and after the Dramiel, I believe I will do an Apocalypse video, and then after the Apocalypse to Daredevil, you will see there's a lot of ships that I want to cover. Okay, let's go on to the next. I think this is the last wave actually. While the clearing speed is definitely not as fast as the clear speed on the previous boats, it's still not bad, 100% usable. And I have friends who use the Dramiel as a anti-scan low-sec mission ship. The Dramiel can clear tier 10 storylines, it can clear tier 8 storylines, and it's one of the safest ships for that job because it's extremely difficult to scan. You get maximum safety if you are flying a Dramiel for low-sec missions, because only a Nestor with tier 4 rigs or a heavily integrated Astero for scanning can scan a Dramiel without detecting. And we all know there is not a lot of Nestor pilots who eat that Nestor around in low sec. Well, I'll be the first one, you will see that. You will see that coming, I'll be the first one. And there is definitely not a lot of Astero scanners that have one alt fully integrated, fully specialized for scanning. So in 99.99% of cases, no ship will be able to scan you down without alerting you, and that makes the Dramiel one of the best choices for low-sec missions and encounters. That is one very important thing to know, because I know a lot of players do low-sec missions and they have a problem with pirates. Well, the Dramiel is one of the ships that can solve you the problems. You just have to learn how to pilot the ship, and once you do that, no pirate can catch you that easily. And encountering a highly specialized Astro for scanning or Nestor is ridiculously low, so you have some very nice safety. I think there's some other ships that can do the same, although the Dramiel has a very small signature radius. I think that it's the smallest signature radius out of any frigate. And that's one of the traits for angel ships. They have really small signatures, although their ships are huge. The Snowball is like 580 meters long. It's the size of a Bellacruiser, but has like a 60-meter signature radius. I don't know what kind of witchcraft they did there, but they did that witchcraft really well, or as I like to call it, voodoo magic. Because sometimes I really do think that there is some voodoo involved in some of these ships. Of course, I like to joke around like that, but sometimes I really just ask myself how did they make the signature so small but the ship hull is so big. Again, a head-on approach, not something that you should do. And I went straight through the Dominics. But overall, I'm really happy with the Dramiel. It's a very interesting little boat. It definitely does reward skilled play. Now I got interrupted in my thought process because I was looking at the Dominics spinning around. Well, most battleships will do this when you orbit at 0 because they don't have enough speed to actually keep you at range or orbit you, and well, when it happens, a weird motion like this happens, which is funny. And well, the mission has been completed. Well, the Dramiel definitely is a very interesting little boat. Definitely it's a very good boat, and I definitely recommend that you go try one of these ships out, and they're definitely extremely fun to use. And well, with that being said, I hope that I could help you at building your own Dramiel, or I hope that I could inspire you to make your own Dramiel build. I'm very curious to know what you think about this little boat, so feel free to share your opinion down in the comments below. And with that being said, I love you all, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.